video, I will be making Doro Wat from In Bibi's Kitchen by Hawa Hassan, published in 2020. This book is a great introduction to African cuisine if you are unfamiliar with it. The book has several sections with recipes from a selection of different African countries, from Kenya to Somalia to Mozambique to the Comoros to others, including Eritrea, which is where today's recipe hails from. This is a long-cooked stewed chicken that uses many fresh ingredients as well as Berber spice mix to make a mildly sweet, rich sauce that infuses into the chicken and eggs over the long cook. The flavor is quite unique, but I think if you love sweet and savory barbecue sauces, you will love this, and it might even find its way into your regular weeknight cooking rotation. If you want to shake up your cooking with flavors and dishes you've likely never tried before, then you may want to give this book a shot. I've certainly enjoyed everything I've made with it so far. And with all that said, we're going to go ahead and hop into the kitchen. Here is the setup for our Doro Wat we're making today. We have butter, we have diced red onion, we have minced ginger, minced garlic, diced tomato, hard-boiled eggs, chicken legs, and this is Berber spice, which I make myself, but which you can also just buy pre-made. I like making myself because you can toast them, the ingredients on the stove, dry, and it makes them so much more aromatic. This dish in general is going to make your kitchen and your house smell great. So let's go ahead and get started. All right, I've melted our butter in a heavy bottomed pan, and everything is going to get cooked in this pan together, or in this stock pot. So gone ahead and melted the butter, and the first thing to do is to put in, as with so many dishes, put in our onion. And depending on how many chicken legs you're going to make, will depend on how big of a pot you want to use. This recipe scales pretty easily based on however much you want to do. So, all right, get our onions nice and coated in that butter, and we can go ahead and put our chopped ginger, as well as our chopped garlic. And that's already going to have your house smelling good. Just these three ingredients cooking in butter is already going to have everything very aromatic. So this is going to go for about 5 minutes until the onions start to turn translucent and everything really starts to smell good. So I'm going to let this go ahead and cook, and then I'll meet you at the next step. All right, our onions and aromatics are just starting to soften here. So make sure you're always cooking onions on medium heat. In this case, the whole recipe is going to be on medium heat, but always make sure you're doing onions at about that temperature because they'll burn or they'll cook too fast, and they won't caramelize and cook right if you put them on too high of a temperature. So, okay, we've got that done. Now we're going to add just about a teaspoon of salt and about 3 tablespoons of our Berber seasoning, and we're going to just mix that up until everything starts to blend in together for about a minute. You can already see it's staining those onions that wonderful sort of burnt orange color, and it will start releasing its vaporizing some of the spice and everything and start really smelling good. And so it's going to get to be after about a minute, you can see it's starting to do that already. It's about to be about the consistency of like a really thick relish or chutney, and that's what we want. So, all right, now that is done, we're going to go ahead and put in our tomatoes. And now we're going to cover this, and we're just going to let this simmer for about 10 minutes. And the tomatoes are going to go through sort of their chemical process where they release their juices and start to boil off. And the tomatoes themselves will almost start to liquefy and sort of become almost like a roux, a vegetable version of a roux, where it sort of becomes the base of a liquid sauce here. So, all right, I'm going to let you guys go while this cooks, and I'll see you at the next step. Okay, our base is cooked. We want to cook a lot of that liquid out, which is why we cook it for about 10 minutes to sort of concentrate those flavors. And now we're going to turn the oven up to high, and we're going to put about a cup of water in. And let that start to boil. Once that starts to boil, we're then going to reduce the heat down so that it just simmers. And while we're waiting on that, we're going to go ahead and just salt. Rub some salt all over our chicken. Both sides, and this chicken will also release juices to increase the amount of juice in this stew so that it doesn't go dry. Okay, we're almost at the boiling point. And all right, we're gonna go ahead now. Really easy. This whole recipe is actually quite easy for a nice weeknight meal packed with flavor and protein. We're gonna go ahead and just put our chicken in. And we're actually going to go ahead and just cover this. I'm going to reduce the heat down. We're going to go ahead and cover this, and we're going to let this cook for about an hour. Periodically, every 15 minutes or so, opening it up, make sure the liquid level's good. If you need to add some more water, if it gets dry, do that. But also turning the chicken and letting it long cook for this full hour is going to get the chicken nice and tender. So, all right, we're going to go ahead and do that, and I will see you at the next step. All right, our chicken has been cooking for about an hour. You can see it's getting nice and tender and starting to take on some of the color of the sauce here. Next thing we're going to do is go ahead and just take our hard-boiled eggs and just plop those into the sauce as well so that they can get some color on them and get heated up, because I cooked these the day before. So they'll get heated up here and start to get coated in that sauce. And that's it, and we're just going to let this go ahead and continue to cook for 10 more minutes, and then we'll be finishing up. All right, everything has finished cooking here, so we're going to go ahead and remove the chicken and the eggs from the container here, and we're just going to set these aside for the moment. And what we're going to do is actually go ahead and turn the oven up to high, or sorry, not the oven, the stove up to high. And we're going to continue to cook the sauce until the sauce gets nice and thick. Yeah, that's some good color on that. And that should just take about 5 minutes. You can see how falling off the bone that chicken is. This is going to be really good. And you don't want this to get super dry. You just want the sauce to get thickened so that we can spread it over the chicken and the egg as we get ready to serve. So definitely make sure you're doing what I'm doing right now and making sure you don't have anything stuck to the bottom of the pan that will burn, because that'll ruin the flavor of your sauce. And it's kind of getting there already, but when it gets to the right thickness, I will be back to show you guys. All right, our sauce has thickened, and so now we're just going to spoon it over our chicken and egg here. Let's get a little bit on me as well. Sort of coat it. in those beautiful colors. All right, I will see you guys at the finale. And here is our finished Doro Wat. This is some great Berber spiced chicken. It's actually really good if you're on a keto diet because this is all protein. There's no sugar in it. The sweetness all comes from the aromatic spices. It is a little bit, it tastes a little bit sweet. It's got a little bit of earthy flavor to it, but man, is it good. It actually kind of reminds me a lot of almost like barbecue, American style barbecue, you know, slathered in barbecue sauce. And that's probably a lot of American food and other cuisines of the New World are actually rooted in African heritage, right? So that kind of makes sense. So definitely give this a shot. This is a nice, comes together easily on a weeknight for dinner, or if you want to do something a little bit different, if you just want to taste something a little bit different, try this out. And if you like my videos, please like and subscribe, and hopefully next time I can continue to show you things that you've never tried before, but that you will after this.